As for the stack, I started from PHP and MySQL, Debian Linux. But very soon I realized I need to optimize this. I started using Memcached. Apache servers were not enough anymore. We had to set up Nginx. And my brother was still living in Germany, so he couldn't help me much for the first year of building BK. Sometimes I would manage to get through to him through a call. I would use an old school phone to call him with the wires. I said, what do I do? How do I install this thing called Nginx? I'm not a Linux guy. If he felt particularly kind that day and not too busy, he would show me the way to do it or set it up himself. But for the most part, I had to rely on just myself. Having him there, though, helped when we started to grow fast and started to scale it. Because at first, you realize, well, now one server is not enough. I need to buy another one. Then another one and another one. The database should be in a different server. Then you have to split the database into tables. Then you have to come up with a way to shard the tables using some criteria that would make sense that wouldn't break your user experience. When we got to over 1 million users and beyond a dozen of servers, surviving without the input from my brother in terms of taking care of the scaling aspect of it became impossible. I remember asking him to come back because you need to help me with this thing. It's starting to be really big. What was worse is that since we became popular, somebody started to do DDoS attacks on us, as it always happens.
Right.
And then we had people that wanted to buy a share of VK. And interestingly, every time we had a negotiation day, the DDoS attacks intensified. So we had to come up with a way to fight it. I remember having many sleepless nights trying to figure it out.
So that was your introduction to all kinds of bad actors. DDoS, business. Then later you'd find out there's such a thing called politics. And then later geopolitics. But this is the initial stages. That it's not just about creating cool stuff. It's having to deal with, as you now have to deal with Telegram, is seas of bad actors trying to test the limits of the system, trying to break the system.
Unfortunately, if we didn't have bad actors and pressure, it would be the best job ever. You just get to create.
Yeah. And so the help from your brother, like you mentioned, Nginx and sharding the tables, some of the scaling issue is algorithmic in nature. It's almost like theoretical computer science. So it's not just about like buying more computers, it's figuring out how to algorithmically make everything work extremely fast. So some of it is mathematics. Some of it is pure engineering, but some of it is mathematics.
Yeah, so at that stage, I could do the basic stuff. I could understand how I implement scalability into the code base, how I shard my tables in the database, where I include memcached instead of direct requests to the database. That was quite easy because it was still PHP back in the day. When my brother got back from Germany, somewhere around 2008, I asked him, can we make it even more efficient? Can we make it super fast and at the same time so that we would require even fewer servers to maintain the load? And he said, yes, but PHP is not enough. I'll have to rewrite a big part of your data engines in C and C++. I said, okay, let's do that. He invited a friend of his to help him, another absolute champion in world's programming contest twice in a row, and they put together the first customized data engine, which is far more efficient than just relying on MySQL and Memcached, because it was, first of all, more specialized, more low level.
So they rewrote in C++?
A large chunk of it, like, for example, the search, the ad engine, because VK had targeted ads, they built that. It was very efficient what they did. Eventually, the private messaging part, the public messages part. At some point, we realized there are very few websites online that load faster than VK.
Nice.
I remember in 2009, I went to Silicon Valley, and I met Mark Zuckerberg the first time, and some of the other core team members of early Facebook. Remember, Facebook was just 4 or 5 years old then. And everybody kept asking me, how come even here in Silicon Valley, VK loads faster than Facebook? Everything seems to appear instantly on your website. What's the secret sauce? That was one of the things that made them very curious.